Hi, our guest today is Jessica Labrecque, who's running for the 2-year term on the Board of Selectmen. That's open in the April 4th annual town election. Jessica, welcome.
Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Well, we're glad to have you here. So the first question we ask everybody is, tell us why you're running for office.
Well, I first got involved with Milford town politics about 8 months ago. I mean, I've been watching the selectmen meetings on the town website and such, but haven't been actively involved. And I got back into it by joining the Cultural Council, just because arts has always been a big part of my life, art funding. Okay. So I got into it like that, and then as I saw different things, I've worked in a lot of town governments in Massachusetts, a couple, so I've seen kind of different subcommittees formed and various initiatives like that have been very successful. So I proposed a human rights committee as part of the various subcommittees in the town, like the Cultural Council, you know, all those like that.
You didn't get a very warm reaction to that idea.
It got put on the back burner, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, and I think public service means public service. So that kind of prompted me to initiate this campaign to run for selectman here.
Okay. What other towns have you been involved in?
In Attleboro. I mean, I was on the Arts Cultural Council there. I was a little more active there, and I was there longer.
Okay. Are you from Massachusetts originally? Or?
I am from Massachusetts, yes.
Born and raised?
Yeah, I've lived here pretty much all my life.
Okay, okay. Yeah. Here in Milford, or?
In the area around here,
okay.
yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Some time on the Cape as well.
Oh, well, Cape's a good, why would you move back here? No.
No. Are there any particular things you want to accomplish if you're elected to the board?
There are a couple of initiatives I'd like to propose, you know, during the meeting, and I think would be very warmly received. Kind of like a working families initiative, kind of have more programs, such as how there's like the kindergarten sign-up night coming up. And I mean, you can't bring your kids to that. It's where they give information out to all the families coming in to start kindergarten, et cetera. And it's difficult if you're a working single parent or even both parents working to have the kids stay home with one parent and go out to this night and get information. Or if you're a single parent, you just don't really get to go. So I was thinking of having a night, you know, like a working families night, and renting out kind of one of those like jumperoo bouncer places with trampolines, and have all the information available for everyone, you know, some copies and stuff like that of the kindergarten sign-up information, but have it be a fun night, you know, have some pizza and stuff like that, have families enjoying their time together and getting the information they need.
Okay.
Well, any financial things, you know, have you looked at the budgets or thought about that?
I'd like to look at several financial relationships we have in place. You know, of course, the water company thing is big. Look into that. We really need to find something that the relationship is either there or it isn't. I feel like it's been a lot of compromising back and forth, and it shouldn't really be compromising. It should be researched out before, you know, you put that type of people.
Do you think it's a good thing to do, buy the water company, or do you think it's a bad thing, or?
I think there are a couple other options we could look at. Yeah. Secondly, I wanted to look at the relationship Milford has with the ICE, the relationship with the police force, you know, everybody working together, the government and police force, just because it really isn't aligned with the rest of the state, especially in Boston. I mean, the mayor of the city of Boston has strong feelings about it. And it hasn't really prevented any crime. I mean, there's no facts to support that. But I can see how that relationship could affect, you know, our school system that proudly serves 18 languages to all these kids, and how that could affect them.
So you want the police department to work with ICE, or?
I just, well, they do, in Milford, they have a special relationship where the police department and the town, I mean, it's not laid out in black and white, but we have in this town,
And
we're allowed to use more force than other towns to,
Not really.
more liberties slightly.
It's basically
just on
anyone who's
deportation.
arrested is run through the ICE computer to see if they
Yeah,
ICE wants them. They just had an incident this weekend.
right. It's just a
where
little
they did that.
different,
Yeah.
right.
Well, it's reflected what people wanted in the town, though.
Right, but just maybe reevaluating that, just because how it could affect,
Okay.
a school system where 18 languages are taught. But thank you for clarifying that, though.
Okay. What other things interest you? I know you have a list, so.
Oh, well, those were a couple, things off the top of my head. There's so many. I could go through every department and find something, but I won't bore you too much.
That's okay.
That's okay, that's why we're here. You have a-
Yeah.
Well, we're
For
here-
working families,
yeah,
first and foremost, because some of that school stuff, especially, with such a diverse population here, you want to be welcoming, and I think programs like that would be good. And
I know some of the cultures actually, they bring the whole family to these things.
oh, okay, I called them. They said they really didn't want kids to come, so maybe that was
Well,
the answer.
let me put it this way, they want to bring the whole family, so,
Right, and that's why, yeah,
yeah.
And what else
Thank
do you have
you.
on your list there?
What else on my list?
Because the purpose of this interview basically is so you could tell the people about you and what you stand for.
Yeah. Well, another reason why I wanted to run for selectman, I kind of started to, I got the nomination papers and put my name in, and then I had to
Right.
get the signatures and such. And in those couple of weeks, I was kind of like, I did really want to do this, but I was thinking of all the time and all the energy from my own family that I might be,
Right.
But as I went around, I really walked up and down Main Street here, and spent a good amount of time talking to people. Obviously, many of them did not want to sign my paper and put down their personal street address for me. But I obviously got the signatures. But most people were so encouraging here in this town of me to run. It couldn't be said enough how much people were appreciative of somebody with, new blood trying to run for a town office. So
It is true.
that
It
was
is- it is very-
encouraging to me,
It is
so.
very tough. The traditional path is, usually spending time on committees and then another committee and then,
Visibility in town government. Usually the
Right.
process is you're on the FinCom or you're on the school committee or you're on something else and you get visibility into that area and you start to spread out and you grow and then move into the highest office in the town, which is selectman.
Right.
So,
Chief executive position.
right. Well, it's the last, my comment is it's the last office in the state of Massachusetts where you have to talk directly to your constituents. After
That's
that,
the
you
part I
have,
love.
after that, you represent your constituents, but in a selectman's position, you literally face to face every day are in front of your constituents. And so that's why the exposure, the experience in other town departments is usually something that people think about. In your case, you're new to it's new blood, so it's a whole new experience for them. And saying, gee, the question is, what do you know about government? What do you know about budgeting? Those are the questions people are going to ask. So, what's the answer?
What do I know about budgeting?
Budgeting and finance of the town. What's your experience there? You have some, I'm sure.
Yeah, I do. Looking at it, I proposed a new subcommittee, and basically looking at the other subcommittees, which is a major portion of how the town budget is doled out. You get a lump sum for the town, and then the chief executive office, the selectmen of the town, Board of Selectmen, figures out where to send that money, through a series of town meetings. I think by reorganizing a lot of these subcommittees and having them each have more focused purposes, the town budget could be better spent. You have the elderly committee and you have the cultural council, and a lot of the things that people ask for money for, that they got money for, different grants, different programs. A lot of those programs should have been in the other one, and you know what I mean, and the other one. And then the committee that I proposed, it would have actually minimized the amount of money they spent, the Human Rights Committee. So that's just one example there.
why did you think we needed a Human Rights Committee? Because, basically the selectmen were dealing with email from you, so they never heard from you directly. So Why did you propose that?
Oh, I called quite a few times. I'm not sure if that had anything to do with it. I talked to the town administrator at the time quite a bit, Mr. Villani. And, I don't know, and I don't want to speculate, but I'm not sure about the relationship between him, I don't know, and the Board of Selectmen. But I did talk to him quite a bit, and he said he was getting the messages and that they would be calling back as soon as they had time, the Board of Selectmen.
Now, what do you think the Human Rights Committee would do? What would be their task? What would be their mission statement, so to speak?
The mission statement, basically, to look at, if a violation came up, like if somebody needed information or help to file, like a civil rights violation with the state, that there'd be somebody available.
So it would be a committee that would deal with confrontation.
Not just that, and also for, some of the special needs populations. There's a lot of people in wheelchairs and that have other special needs.
There's a handicap.
Right. Yeah. I mean,
Right.
there's the Commission on Disability. There's
Sorry, 1 second.
She's got it. I know. Here we go.
Sorry, this has been a while since somebody has asked me, so I'm actually very appreciative. I kind of moved on to the whole broader selectman thing.
Oh no, I'm just interested.
So
because
so the mission statement of the Human Rights Committee, and this is way back when I proposed it in the beginning of November, is to support a growing, diverse community and foster a culture of acceptance and progress for all the citizens of Milford. The committee will respond to instances of prejudice as needed to elicit care with the best outcome, working with appropriate town resources, such as the police, school, etc. The Human Rights Committee will plan activities to support diversity and tolerance within the town. And at that time I wrote I would like to nominate myself to work on it, etc.
Right.
But I have a whole longer thing. But thank you for asking me
No,
about that.
I mean, because the question is, okay, Human Rights Committee, but exactly what is going to be their charge? What are they going to do? What things are they going to bring to the table? Excuse me. There is a humanity committee in town, which is not part of the government.
Right.
Have you been involved in that? Have you talked to anybody?
I couldn't really find a contact or anyone.
Oh, I
so
can
maybe
give you
it's not, yeah.
I can give you one.
That would
Thank
be
you.
Father Mack at Trinity
Right.
Episcopal
Oh,
Church.
yes. Kind of when I was getting a little initially discouraged before I went around and talked to people in the town, I was thinking maybe a non-government organization would be the best approach to my concerns right now.
Right.
But really, there are so many other towns in Massachusetts that have this same subcommittee, a human rights committee. Westwood, Newton, Fall River has one. That why shouldn't the town do it? If other towns in Massachusetts have this model, So I wanted to stick with that, and then I found so many other reasons that I should run for selectman. Yeah.
Well, it's, besides the human rights and the what you said, the family night, what are some of those reasons you found?
Well, I'm an unenrolled registered voter. Basically, the people that are classically or on average selectmen, they have a lot of special interest affiliations, and I would just be doing public service for the people of Milford, and not just the registered voters of Milford, the residents of Milford.
Okay. What do you think their
Potentially.
are?
You can't really say. I'm just saying that I don't have affiliations like that to a party or a law firm that I work at, or to another special interest group or fraternal organization. I don't know. I'm just saying I don't. This is what I do. I like arts funding. I like healthcare funding.
Right.
That's pretty much what I've done.
And
I'd like to be selectman.
So you bring to the table no affiliations with any outside groups?
Besides to advocate for the people
Right,
that
well,
live
that's
here.
what I mean. You don't,
Right.
yeah, right.
Yeah.
I was just trying to figure that out. So that's one of the things. Is there any other reasons why, or other reasons in your bucket of reasons? Because I know, having been a selectman, and
Yeah, both Al and I
I've been
are
selectman
have
for
been selectmen in
for
other
6 years
towns,
in
so.
other towns. There's more to making that decision than just, I want to be a selectman, because there are issues on the table that you really feel engaged in. Now, one of the human rights issues, obviously one of them. Are there any other things that you feel really strong about?
I'd like to keep up with the infrastructure of the town.
Oh, infrastructure issues. Oh, okay.
Those
Well,
are always fun.
Anything specific?
I know a lot of people are concerned about that parking lot over there. The Kohl's parking lot, getting in and out of that because they're redoing things.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I just hear complaints about it. It doesn't particularly bother me. I mean, I'm no rocket scientist, but I can get in there. But there surely could be a easier way to get in and out.
Now, would that be a federal, a state highway issue or a town issue? Because that's Route 109, isn't it?
Yep, so
Yes,
it's a state highway
It's a state
issue and
highway,
curb
so
cuts.
really the town doesn't have a whole lot of issues other than the curb cuts that they have to get authorized. So it would be a study. It
Well,
would be
someone should do an initiative on it, or at least
anything
have
else
some proof.
that comes to mind? Here's the time to say it. Whatever it is. It could even be the price of tea in China. Well, no, that's not a significant issue. But any issues that okay, so you're talking about Kohl's parking lot, you take human. Is there anything else? School issues or town issues or access to your government or anything like that?
Oh yeah, access to the government as part of like the working families thing. I mean, and I appreciate the experience that maybe other typical selectman candidates bring with being more physically present at the meetings and such. But I have small children. I know a lot of people in Milford do, and I can't go out at 7:30 at night. Maybe if they could rebroadcast those meetings in a public forum, like a library room or a town hall room at other times besides night times, maybe like right before after school pickup. So if anyone's interested, they can go and watch that and see what's going on in the town and maybe have a selectman there to answer questions.
Oh, so if I translate.
I think there's interest to get more active in the government.
So what you're saying is
That
videotape
nighttime.
it and then play it and have a selectman present when the videotape is played. So people,
Yeah, that's
Oh,
an
okay.
idea.
Yeah, well, I know Selectman Kincaid has office hours once a month where he makes himself available to people.
Who's that?
Will Kincaid.
Yeah.
And a lot of people do come into those meetings, so, would you do something like that if you could?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, having open hours are very good. Once a month, though. Yeah, that's still very good that he offers that.
No.
Yeah, but something like that, I mean, because it's helped me kind of know anything by watching the full meetings and, yeah.
So you've watched the meetings a lot.
Yeah, I think
Yes.
it's tough when you
There aren't
first.
that many.
I think it's tough when you first get involved. There's so many laws involved on the state and local and federal level that it's very hard for people to grasp everything that's going on. I mean, I just had, in fact, one of your opponents when he was here said, basically the selectmen keep referring to documents in front of them that no one else gets to see. So how do they understand what they're talking about?
They could,
Right.
and one of the things you could take a picture of and put them up online, and people could, now
Right.
the technologies, people could
Right.
look at it.
Oh, of course. Yeah, having that transparency or having that, giving that access to people.
Well, historically, it didn't used to be TV. Historically, they'd go into a room and have their meeting and take care of business.
Yeah, we still have one board where there's a member of the finance committee who keeps saying that he wishes they could go back to when the meetings weren't on TV so they could get work done.
Well,
interesting.
having gone through that transition personally as a selectman, you reach that point where you talk more to the TV than you do sometimes to the issue at hand. You worry more. And I think the selectmen in Milford have gone past that issue.
Yeah, I think what you find is people tend not to go to the live meetings, and they tend to stay at home and watch. And I actually prefer a full audience of people.
Who can ask questions, and you can,
Yeah,
it's more tactile, I think is the word I like to use, more tactile. More,
well, I think people have a chance then to get their 2 cents in.
well, in case like you have, yours more than a quarter usually.
Yeah. But anyway, are there things in town that bother you personally that you'd like to see changed outside of the human rights issue? As you talk to people and you go about, you said people have made comments encouraging to run. What have they told you bothers them?
Oh, I don't want to gossip.
Well, it's not.
No, it's
I
not
mean,
gossip.
everybody's had
Gossip
their
if people tell
stories.
you.
I mean, I think people, you know, there's a reason why there are people in power and why they're in power. And I heard comments, you know, that a change of the normal people in power might be good.
That's interesting. I mean,
Yeah.
normally speaking, there's always a group of people say, oh, they've been in office too long, they need to get out, and then the other people say, well, they bring a lot of experience, so they know what's going on.
Right.
So there's always a dichotomy of.
Well, you know, my kids always ask me that question as they're in their 20s, and you know, they go apply for jobs, and they're told they have no experience, and they say, well, how do I get the experience if you won't give me a job?
Right.
Yeah, I went through the same thing when I graduated from school. I went to get
We
a
all
job,
did.
and they said, "Are you 1A? What's your draft status?" And I said, "I'm 1A." And they said, "Well, after you serve, come back and see me."
Yeah, I mean, but I mean, I think it's different. So I think it's very hard for people to break into government without serving on a committee first.
It's very difficult. The difficulty is that you're all of a sudden you're an unknown quantity. You have no experience. So what people are going to do is they're going to ask you a lot of tough questions. They're going to give you their opinion and look for a reaction to what they say. Like, you know.
So did you think it was easier to run for the 2-year seat because there's no incumbent there, as opposed to the 3-year seat that's open because there is an incumbent running for re-election? I mean, why did you pick the
Easier?
2-year seat?
I think it made more sense.
Yeah.
I think I'd be good alongside Bill Buckley. That'd be funny. No, I mean a little, you know, a different perspective.
Yeah.
You know,
Oh, absolutely.
a little Lady Liberty perspective aside him. Can't go wrong. No.
Well, interestingly enough, I personally believe that debate and open discussion is absolutely imperative. And one experienced guy told me when I first got on the Board of Selectmen, said, you argue and discuss this issue, and then you go to the next one without dragging anything along. You
Yeah.
always.
My take now, I've been covering the selectmen's meetings for 10 years straight for the paper, and what I think is my realization is there was always some friction between Selectman Buckley and Selectman Murray, and my feeling was when they all voted together, it must be something good
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
because they agreed on it, whereas up until 2 years ago, Bill Buckley was usually the minority vote. And then when Will Kincaid got elected, if there is a 2-to-1 vote, it's usually he and Buckley against Murray. So I find I'm waiting to see what happens when you know Brian Murray steps off the board with the selection, because
Right.
we'll have to look for, depending on who gets elected, for both seats. You have to see what the new majority is, for one of a better.
The balance will change.
Right.
One way or the other, and that's a good thing. It's a good thing for the balance to change because it allows fresh ideas. The thing you bring to the table are new ideas, a new set of eyes. Other selectmen or other candidates bring other things. Benefits.
Well, I think it's going to be a fascinating board if John Erickson wins over Buckley, because then you have John, Will, and whoever wins, the seat you're running for. And you could have basically a whole new board
Theoretically.
very quickly, or you could have 2 existing members and a new member. So the dynamic is very interesting.
This one's
Just
going to
waiting
be
to
a
see what happens.
This is going to be a significant message that's going to be carried.
Yeah, I mean,
forward.
when Dino DeBartolmeus didn't run, you had, for the first time in more than 20 years, you had a new selectman. And now if Bill Buckley is beaten, you're going to have, for the first time in whatever term this is for him, say 15 years, a new selectman.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then the race you're in is wide open. So,
Right.
and at least one of your opponents is brand new to government.
Oh, you're talking about.
Other than serving on the Commission on Disability, Harold Rhodes has no government service either. So,
Right.
so
right.
you have a whole dynamic there of things. So you know you'd fit right in as
It'll be new. Be new experience, and a new. Well, I think philosophically the board may, no matter who wins the election, I think there's going to be a slight or subtle change in the direction the board goes. Just the nature of the beast.
Yeah. I have an interesting question. Do you think being a woman, you just have a different perspective than men do on things?
Who was the last woman? Was it Marie Parenti?
Marie Parenti.
Was the last.
And that was a long time ago, so.
I think every person has a different perspective on things. You know, I don't think it has to do with me being a woman or not.
Okay.
But no, it is interesting. People like to talk about that, you know, gender.
Oh, I just find it interesting because some people, if you look at Milford's history, the culture of certain ethnic groups in town is not disposed to treating women nicely.
Correct.
And there are some people on certain committees that don't treat women fairly. If women department heads, for example, get treated differently when they go before some boards. So, you know, in this day and age, which is fascinating.
Which ones do you think? Which committees?
There are some, being candid, there are some members on the finance committee who they might not acknowledge it, but it's fairly well acknowledged by the audience, treat women department heads differently than they treat men department heads.
Okay, thank you.
Whether they deny it, it's quite obvious that they do. And the women department heads talk amongst themselves and acknowledge the fact that they're treated differently by those members.
Yeah, that's why everyone being different is really important, you know, how one person's perspective is different from another, because you might see that it's obvious, and I could see that it's obvious, but I bet two people don't see it,
Well,
so I
that's-
appreciate these.
Well, no, you're
know,
running
just
as
a million
quote unquote
observations.
new to government. How would you encourage more people to get involved in government? Because one of the things is, it's when
That's
you
always a question.
you look at the town meeting, which is elected in Milford, unlike an open town meeting other towns have. It tends to be the same people that get up and speak all the time. The same people, you know, running for office unchallenged all the time. You're taking steps to be new in government. How would you encourage more people like yourself to get involved in government?
I mean, it's pretty black or white. You either do something or you don't. I mean, it may seem like a little bit of a leap in some people's eyes, but you just have to go out and do something and take a chance.
Well, in reality, the only qualifications under law for running are you have to be a registered voter, and you have to go out and get those signatures of other registered voters.
Right.
Right.
So, you know, everybody who's a registered voter is halfway there
Right.
in terms of being qualified. That's the only qualifications under the law. It doesn't say you have to have been on the finance committee
No,
or
it
be on
doesn't.
this
None of
committee.
those things.
Right.
So, you know, I always look and say, you know, you're taking a step forward. How would you get other people to do what you're doing?
Today, apathy is a significant issue in town government, in small town
Everywhere.
government. Everywhere. In the town of Upton, papers have been available since the 6th, and there has been nobody that's taken out papers for selectmen. We have an open seat. And nobody's taken out papers, which is really disheartening to me, really, very disheartening.
Whereas in Milford, you tend to have what I call the gold rush on the date papers are available, and everybody just runs in
You
and does
grabs
it.
papers.
Well, the audience may not hear it, but that's the little beep that says we have only a couple of minutes left. So again, this is your chance to reach out to the voters that are listening, want to learn more about you. Why don't we spend the last minute, you just tell people why they should vote for you.
Why they should vote for me? Well, as you said, I'm not really the typical candidate, but that might be a good thing to have somebody fresh in the selectman board. As far as the question, how to get other people to run and be active and participate more, I mentioned a couple little things like the working family stuff, so more accessible to town government when it happens, but also just somebody doing anything. That's why I really enjoyed talking to people. I hear about so many other good mentors and people doing things in the town that you might not hear of commonly. So the best way to get other people to do good things is to just do it yourself.
So do you think if you win, you'll be a symbol to people to, hey, get involved?
Oh yeah, and I have the patience of a saint too. I can sit around and listen to people all day. I'd love for people to come to the meetings and tell me how their, driveway didn't get this and that. I mean, I think that's public service.